Good day everyone, Complaining Gamer here. Generally on this channel I focus on the positives and the progress of the Cemu emulator and the games within it, with a particular focus on Zelda Breath of the Wild. But there are issues that go widely unreported. Now you may be wondering why there's a lack of AMD CPU and GPU love on this channel. Well, the answer is very simple. I don't have an AMD CPU or GPU, so anything I report has to be just hearsay and community based, so everything is second hand and third hand. But by now I think that most people understand that if you have an AMD GPU and you use Cemu, you're gonna have a bad time because AMD OpenGL support, which Cemu uses, is horrendous. When it comes to AMD GPU specific issues, there are just far too many to mention. So generally an NVIDIA GPU will always perform better than anything from AMD. One of the ways I've seen people overcome the AMD GPU performance problem is by using Linux. Anyway, let's jump into Breath of the Wild issues. If you have a NVIDIA GPU, feel free to try this out. I'm not sure about the effect on AMD GPUs itself, but you can go to two different locations. You can go to the Gerudo Desert and Goron City. Now, if you zoom in on any heat wave, so that can be a heat wave with the lava or a heat wave with the sand, what will happen is your FPS will absolutely shit the bed. Now, I'm not entirely sure the reason for this. I'm sure people will say, oh, it's the GPU itself. But as far as I can tell, it seems to be specifically related to the heat wave effect. It does something to the game, or the way Cemu interprets it. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but it needs fixing. Now, another sort of transparency related issue is if you climb a tree and the camera is panning around, but the tree itself has become transparent, that will also drop your FPS. Not as bad as the effect in Goron City and Gerudo Desert, but these are things that have not been addressed. Of course, an issue that was introduced not too long ago was the teleportation animation. Now, whilst not game breaking, it is ugly and needs addressing. In Cemu 1.11.0, it introduced this issue where the land looked like lava. Apparently, this is fixed in 1.11.1. One thing that's very low on the priority list is amiibo recognition. So in many instances, they do not register correctly, but in a few select scenarios, they do actually register the way they are supposed to. So this is another thing that really does need to be considered if you're looking to have that 100% perfect experience. Then this is a key element, of course. Now, just to be clear and for maximum clarity, Breath of the Wild in Cemu has been fully completable for a long time. Start to finish, you can have a very pleasant experience. However, these issues do exist and should be addressed, because otherwise it cannot claim accurate emulation. Now, you might say, Complaining Gamer, you are nitpicking, you are just complaining. Where's your gratitude for Cemu and the opportunities it provides? Well, my name is the Complaining Gamer, and honestly, there is a distinctive lack of complaining on this channel. Moving forward, maybe you do or do not know about these issues, but FPS++, the graphic pack which everyone uses for performance, comes with its own issues. Now, for me personally, they've never really bothered me that much, but they are significant arrow drop off. So the arrows drop off quicker than they should, but it's not really a huge factor. You just compensate with your aim. The other thing is that stamina regenerates too quickly, and there have been other reports when using FPS++ that anything that requires loading, so this could be sleeping in an inn or setting a fire to change the time of day, has led to extreme loading times. So that's another issue that can be connected to FPS++. Now, one issue that you might say is at the absolute bottom of the pile, and this is just, you know, aesthetics. If you look at the introduction to the Wii U version of the game or the Switch version of the game, when it pans across the Great Plateau, this has always kind of bothered me with Cemu. The smoke over the Death Mountain, it's not accurately in place. Now, you know, this is such a minor thing, but it is noticeable for me. A further issue, which I'm sure is not just limited to me, but never seems to get reported, is when you go from Kakariko Village to the Lanairu wetlands, and you look across the vista of that whole area, it has an absolute spaz attack. If you go to ground level, the same issue doesn't occur. So according to my friends in the graphic pack world, they say it could be a height map issue. I don't know how this can be easily fixed or not, but visually it's an absolute mess. As a final side point, I have upgraded from a 750 Ti GPU to a 1050 Ti GPU purely because I wanted that 3D performance headroom that I couldn't get before when I was using higher resolution packs. So for example, now I can use 1080 and 1440p and I have that 3D performance headroom, whereas the 750 Ti was becoming a bottleneck. So for any of you who have a kind of low-end GPU, let me recommend that you do not use anything above 1080 or high-res shadows. High-res shadows will absolutely cane your 3D performance headroom. It will take up an extra 50%, for example, if you have a lower end GPU. Now, when we talk about VRAM, I used to think that a lot of VRAM was required. That's not really, that actually isn't the case. You'll find that maybe you hit 2 gigabytes. I've never seen anything higher than that, to be honest. So it's not necessarily VRAM, more so that it is 3D performance. Anyway, there's my little rant on issues that do still persist and have never really been addressed. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have got some other issues, some other complaints, some other ideas. Let me know if you tested what I showed here and also agree, yeah, it needs fixing. Thank you for the time, and I'll see you very soon.